Hey everyone, hope you're having a stellar day. I just wanted to say thanks for taking the time to click on my video. Grand Theft Auto has been a shared experience for a massive amount of us over the past 28 years, since the game first launched in 1997. Many of us have grown up playing these games and are well into adulthood now, which to me is kind of wild. I'm sure every one of us has a core memory of the series. Personally, one of my favorites was playing 3 and thinking that I was in the Matrix. Some of these memories might be of the mundane, like a beautiful sunrise between 2 mountains. Some of them might be just a random NPC dialogue that kind of caught your attention.
It's Illuminati shit. Once you start seeing it, you can't stop seeing it. Word.
And on that note, I'd like to share some of my personal experience with this. Some of the things that once I started seeing, I couldn't stop seeing. Some of those involve the weird of the GTA franchise, yeah, and including the Chiliad Mystery. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that I've solved it or anything. I'm just going to share my personal experience with it. Over the last 12 years, I've learned a lot of things that have fundamentally changed the way that I think. And as I serendipitously record this at 3:30 in the morning, I'd like to bring you along on that journey with me for the story of the Chiliad Mystery, or how I went looking for a jetpack, but found myself instead. Since only the foolish build their house on sand, I'd like to start off with what I believe to be a core fundamental of the mystery, the 4th dimension. In the late 1800s, Edwin Abbott wrote a book called Flatland, A Romance of Many Dimensions. Flatland is the tale of A Square, a being who only lives on a 2-dimensional plane. He can only move up and down or left and right, no away or towards. Great example of how to visualize this would be the arcade game Defender of the Faith from the Diamond Casino Heist update. If you notice, the square can only move up and down or left and right. Not long after Flatland came A New Era of Thought by Charles Howard Hinton, another book attempting to explain the 4th dimension, a series of essays and diagrams explaining how to think in higher dimensions. In A New Era of Thought, Hinton also coined the terms ana and kata, for up toward and down from respectively, different terms for 4th dimensional movement. In this book, he also coined the term tesseract, which has seeped its way into the public consciousness 100 years later. A New Era of Thought is also another way of saying a paradigm change. With both of these books in mind, the Grand Theft Auto franchise can also be used as an example of thinking between 2D and 3D. The first game in the franchise allowed us to move only left and right, or up and down. As technology progressed and paradigms shifted, the franchise also changed from 2D to 3D, enabling us to move away and towards as well. Merging both A New Era of Thought and Flatland, in 1907, Charles Howard Hinton also wrote an episode of Flatland, or How Plain Folk Discovered the 3rd Dimension. Red Dead Redemption 2's epilogue, where you play as John Marston, is set in 1907. I understand that this may seem a little coincidental, but I actually do have a little bit of evidence to kind of back up what I've been going on about here. Straight from the head of one of the greatest dicks LA's ever seen, using the analogy of movies, here's Cole Phelps.
You read this story in the Examiner about the Navy developing 3-dimensional movies? What's a dimension? You know, like a graph. Vertical axis is Y and horizontal is X.
Well, that's clear as mud.
3rd dimension would be Z. So things will be popping out of the screen.
That's ridiculous. Scare people out of the theater.
God's name would want that. I don't know. People scoffed at the idea of talkies in color, and look what we have now.
KGPL to Andy. No, wait from me! Zapple agents!
In Flatland, A Square was treated like he was one of the nut jobs when he tried to tell everyone about the 3rd dimensional being that was talking to him. But sometimes there's a little truth in the madness. Sometimes there's a little madness in the truth. If you've made it here, you're at the end of the video, and I'd like to thank you for making it this far. I'm hoping to use these videos both as a bit of an explanation and maybe a bit of a matrix training program, if you will, for future creative endeavors that I intend on pursuing. I spent about 12 years looking into all this stuff, and I think that there's a point where I'm ready to move on. I feel understanding the fourth dimension is a good start to being able to describe some of the ways that I see the Chiliad mystery as a whole, and how some things that might not initially appear related may have a bit of a link. With that, I'd like to end this video with a quote by David Lynch. If you have a golf ball-sized consciousness, when you read a book, you'll have a golf ball-sized understanding. When you look out a window, a golf ball-sized awareness. When you wake up in the morning, a golf ball-sized wakefulness. And as you go about your day, a golf ball-sized inner happiness. But if you can expand that consciousness, make it grow, then when you read that book, you'll have more understanding. When you look out, more awareness. When you wake up, more wakefulness. And as you go about your day, more inner happiness.